Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dig into a really fascinating policy that's literally changing the shape of our cities. It's all about this big trade-off. Developers get to build a bit more, but in return, we get a city that's greener and honestly just a better place to live.
All right, so here's what we've got on tap. First, we'll tackle the big problem, why our cities are feeling so packed. Then, we'll get into the main event, the green building deal. We'll look at how developers can actually get these concessions, what kind of cool upgrades we get out of it. And then, we'll wrap up by looking at what this all means for your future home.
Okay, so before we can really appreciate the solution, we gotta understand the problem, right? Let's start there. What exactly are the big issues in our cities that this whole policy is trying to fix?
Yeah, if that question hits home for you, you are definitely not alone. I mean, it's a feeling a lot of us have, and the policy documents themselves actually call this out as a huge public concern, this sense that our cities are just getting a bit much.
So this policy really hones in on these 4 specific things. And it's not just about looks, you know? It's about how these buildings actually work or don't work. We're talking about everything from the air circulation between towers to how much energy they're sucking up.
All right, so those are the problems. What's the big solution? Well, it's actually a pretty clever bargain, a deal that's right at the center of how we plan our cities today. It's all about trading perks for developers in exchange for real benefits for all of us.
Okay, to get this deal, you first have to understand the currency they're trading in. And in the world of real estate development, that currency is called gross floor area, or GFA for short. It's super simple. More GFA means a bigger building. And for a developer, you can bet that a bigger building usually means a more profitable one.
And that brings us to the heart of it, the GFA concession. Think of it like a formal incentive program. It's a trade. The city basically says to a developer, look, we will let you build bigger than the rules normally allow, but in exchange, you've got to give something good back to the public.
So this is the key takeaway, right? This trade-off. A developer has a choice. They can just build a standard building, follow the basic rules, or they can opt into this deal. And if they take that deal, yeah, they get to build bigger, but they also have to commit to building better. We're talking about adding features that help not just the people living there, but the whole community.
But here's the thing, this extra space isn't just a freebie. Nope, there's a whole set of rules. You could almost call it a game that developers have to play, and they have to play it by the book if they want to earn those valuable concessions.
Okay, let's walk through the steps. So for a developer to even get in the door for these bonuses, they've got to jump through a few hoops first. They have to meet some basic design and energy efficiency rules, but the really big one is they have to sign up their project for something called Beam Plus. Now, if you're not familiar, that's basically a green building rating system, kind of like LEED that you might see in other places. And get this, they can't just sign up. They have to declare right on their official building plans exactly what rating they're aiming for, all before they even start digging.
And this is where it gets really clever. Check out how they've structured this. If a developer goes for the gold, the highest Beam Plus rating, they're good to go. But if they're only shooting for a silver or bronze rating, they actually have to do more. They have to add 1 or 2 extra green features from a special list just to qualify. It's a brilliant way to nudge them to aim as high as possible with their green goals.
Okay, so let's say the developers follow all the rules, they get their green rating. What's in it for us? You know, the people who actually live and work in these cities. What do we get in return for all this?
Well, we get access to a whole menu of real, tangible upgrades. And this goes way beyond just sticking a few solar panels on the roof. We're talking about things like more trees and gardens, both on the building and at street level. We're talking about practical stuff like baby care rooms, apartments designed to be easily modified for older folks or people with disabilities, and even buildings that are just built smarter using new tech. And the policy itself is super clear about why it's doing this. I mean, the official goal, right from the source, is to build a quality living environment. It's all about using these features to make our cities healthier, more welcoming for everyone, and, of course, more sustainable.
Now, this next part is really interesting because it shows how the policy puts some guardrails in place. You know, to make sure this whole deal doesn't just get out of control. It's not a blank check for developers to just build as high as they want.
So to keep buildings from getting way too massive, there's a hard cap. For most of these green and public-friendly features, the extra space a developer can get is limited to 10% of the building's original size. That's it.
But here's the really smart twist. The policy makes certain things exempt from that 10% cap. So things that are more for private use, like balconies or a residence clubhouse, those fall under the cap.
But things like communal sky gardens that everyone can enjoy, or public walkways, those are exempt. It's a really clear signal of the policy's priorities. The stuff that gives the most back to the public gets the biggest incentive.
All right, let's pull this all together. After all this policy talk, what does it actually mean for our city? And more importantly, for you?
And this isn't some far-off idea for the future. This is happening right now. The policy has been updated and a new, stronger version of these rules just kicked in. In fact, since June 30th, 2024, any brand new building plan that gets submitted has to play by these tougher, greener rules if they want any of those bonus GFA perks.
So in the end, what we're looking at is this incredible balancing act, right? It's trying to take that powerful drive for profit and channel it into creating something good for the public. But the big question is always, will it work? I mean, you can imagine some people saying developers will just find loopholes, or maybe the public perks aren't really worth the extra size of the buildings. It's a huge debate, and honestly, we won't know the real answer until we see these new buildings start to go up, changing our city for generations.